Hi, I'm Modhep, joined once again by...
Hey, where have you been?
Eh?
I haven't seen you around in a while.
Oh. Yeah, there was a bit of a delay between the La Genou d'Eclair discussion and this one, for L'amour après midi, because I was in Vermont shooting my new short film. Scream until you're hoarse.
Oh hey, cool. How did it go?
Oh man kiddo, it was so great. On the flight up, I met this awesome cab driver from Guinea named Alpha, and ran up the rocky steps in Philly. Then when I arrived, Birdie Num-Nums and I had a blast finalizing pre-production. Then the filming itself. Kiddo. Being on a real movie set. And being one of the chief creative minds involved. It was amazing. I had the time of my life.
That's so exciting, Maud.
Totally.
So, did you wonder at all what I've been up to as well?
Well. Of course I did. So. What have you been up to?
Oh, I was taking my final exams. For college.
What?
Maybe we should just discuss the movie.
Great idea, kiddo. Today we're talking about L'amour après midi, Rohmer's sixth and final moral tale.
This one, also known as Chloe in the Afternoon, is about a woman returning to a now-married man's life and trying, with interesting results, to seduce him.
And fresh off the mention of recurring vacation settings in La Collection News and La Genou d'Eclair, here we are in the thick of the Paris business class. Frederick, another self-absorbed male, is in a more traditional, daily routine with a wife and child at home. He does, however, deviate from the grind in his afternoons, fantasizing about women who pass on the street. Each main character we've explored through these discussions has been relatable to relatively less admirable aspects of my own being. Thereby each film has seen me, to an extent, examining myself. In this regard, L'amour après midi connected the most.
Sadly, I did not find this movie as fascinating as the other two. But regarding the moral aspect you mention, I think Rohmer appeals to our morality. With each tale he represents a specific case, but this doesn't mean it's only about the situation being represented. It appeals to our own morals. It represents the nature of human beings.
Throughout the film's majority I found myself forgiving Frederick, perhaps due to the uncomfortable kinship I felt. He gets thrills flirting with potential affairs, allegedly using this adrenaline rush to enhance his domestic love life. He even prides himself on being able to resist temptation. He is very aware of the danger. I don't consider myself desiring or even capable of the lengths Frederick goes to, but I found it easy to rationalize his actions. Something I've pondered regarding all three films has been Rohmer's overall aim. Does he have a finite moral he's illustrating? Or is he simply cajoling us into considering our own moral set? I'd wager both, really. With each film's final moments there does seem a solid message, but as L'amour après midi showed, it's not so cut and dry up until that point. Of course, it's easier to call something cut and dry from the fly-on-the-wall perspective Rohmer takes. We are allowed to think of these characters as we will, without being coerced to feel a certain way. The moral decisions often seem clear. L'amour après midi even featured a motif of people watching. Additionally, you make very good points about the nature of Rohmer's morality. I do love how Rohmer's characters are so fully fleshed out. They feel like real people. Really, real people. I think many filmmakers create more vague character types so the audience can project themselves into the film and imbue their own thoughts and moralities. But I'm finding it just as easy and even more effective to reflect while watching someone who is authentically their own character.
You said it yourself, while examining the character you were examining yourself. Here the character escapes from his ordinary everyday life when a woman from the past comes back. Would we do the same if we had the chance? It's implied, or at least seemed to me, that Frederick's wife did the same. She also took a chance.
I agree. It is implied that Frederick's wife may have played with fire just as Frederick did. This could be easily explained away as Chloe being overly suggestive as an act of desperation in her seduction. But it is just as possible that Chloe is onto something when she points out the wife on a stroll with a strange gentleman. Now, regarding film structure, I read somewhere Rohmer abolished narration for Le Genu Declare because he felt it was too overbearing. Interesting then, that he'd bring it back for this film. Often I agree narration is unnecessary and simply tells the audience in a more straightforward manner what they would already be seeing and interpreting for themselves, in possibly more interesting ways. I do love Rohmer's use of narration here though, as Frederick's innermost thoughts are incredibly intriguing and relatable.
I see Rohmer's characters more as a reflection. With his characters, he makes us look at ourselves. Not individually, but as humans. Not to become them, or project into them, because the character is no one but itself and what he or she represents. I think that way, instead of just looking at what we are individually, we look at what we are as a whole, as humans. Certainly we can identify with some characters, because the situations they go through and the way they act can be like what you or I would do. It happens.
I do wonder what I may be missing due to such deep immersion into these movies. For example, through these films more than any others, I've been developing somewhat of a distaste for musical scores. Now, I'm not about to tromp around movie studios demanding scores be abolished, but in watching certain other films I've been finding them a bother. I prefer to be with my own thoughts about a film as opposed to being coerced to emote one way or another regarding the on-screen happenings. I'm not sure, though, I even noticed L'amour l'après-midi's lack of score until looking up further information about its production and reading that, aside from the music over the opening titles, which was reminiscent of A Clockwork Orange, I felt there was no score. Clearly the decision to not score the film was an effective one, as creating film is very much about the illusion of seamlessness, and I was never once jarred or bored by the absence of music.
I agree with you, the lack of score gives more power to the scenes. Lets them speak for themselves. It takes away distractions, gives us more time with what's going on. At first, when we started all this, I had my doubts about Rohmer. His films didn't seem very attractive to me, but I kept telling myself, this is about discovering new directors and new films. Rohmer has a very particular style of filmmaking, and some may find him boring, with all the dialogue and slow pacing. But that's the point. To let the film speak for itself.
It's too bad you weren't as taken by this one as the other two, although I understand, it is rather different. From the sounds of it though, you made a connection similar to mine here to Le Genu Declare, or an Éric Rohmer joint, as I've come to call it, hee. So, good on you. I have actually already rewatched this one close to 6 times. I have no doubt it will be a prominent title next time I assemble a top 100 list. It could even be, dare I say it, a top 10 contender.
They really are such great movies.
Well, I'd say that about puts the cap on our initial conversations in Rohmer. Although you can keep your eyes on wetoldyouvhattodream.blogspot.com in case we decide to tread deeper.
Or join the discussion yourself at www.careerino.com. That's CORRIERINO.
Grab ya poises and tip ya noises. Take a easy folks, hee.